Hello students, welcome to EPG Pathshala. I am Dr. Maimuna Akhtar from School of Pharmaceutical Education and Research, Jamia Hamdard. Here we are going to discuss about the module Novel Fluorophores from paper Atomic Spectroscopy. This module will help us to understand the fluorophores other than organic fluorophores, the different kind of substance available as fluorophores like semiconductor nanoparticles, lanthanides, etc. Also, we will be discussing in the module are spectral properties of nanoparticles or Q dots, labeling cells with Q dots and lanthanide sensors, and long lifetime metal ligand complexes. In previous modules, we discussed about small organic fluorophores which were exemplified by the densyl chloride, fluorescein, rhodamine, and cyanine dyes. Large number of probes of this type have been characterized with an extinction coefficient ranging from 10,000 to 1 million per mole per centimeter, with a decay time ranging from 1 to 10 nanoseconds. Some of these probes are photostable, but all the organic fluorophores display some photobleaching, especially in fluorescence microscopy with high illumination intensities. In this module, different types of luminophores that are mostly inorganic and display usually long lifetime will be discussed. These classes include probes like lanthanides, semiconductor nanoparticles, which are also known as Q dots, and transition metal ligand complexes, commonly known as MLCs. These MLCs are occasionally termed as luminophores because it's not clear whether the emission in these MLCs occur from a singlet or from the triplet state. That means whether it's a fluorescence or phosphorescence. The term fluorescent is usually used to describe the emission from any of these species. I will discuss one by one the type of fluorophores used other than the organic small molecules. We'll first come to semiconductor nanoparticles, how they came into existence and how they were developed. The first semiconductor nanoparticles were started in 1981, and there had been a rapid development of fluorescent semiconductor nanoparticles. The particles mainly have cadmium selenide as main components. In addition to selenide cadmium composition, other semiconductors were also used. Other conductors like cadmium sulfide, lanthanide phosphate, lanthanide STM, with diameters ranging from 3 to 6 nanometers, and they displayed intense fluorescence. The best way to introduce the semiconductor nanoparticle, which are also known as quantum dots, is by their visual appearance. In next slide, the figure 1 shows a color photograph of suspension of nanoparticles with different sizes. The nanoparticles are made of core cadmium selenide and the shell is zinc sulfide. This figure shows you different cadmium selenide nanoparticles, different in size, and due to the difference in the size, you can see difference in the color. A 12 nanometer cadmium selenide is bright red, whereas you can see a same nanoparticle but of smaller size, 5.3 nanometer, of yellow color, and approximately 2 nanometer size nanoparticle is blue fluorescent in nature. So with change in size, we could see that there is change in the fluorescent nature of the nanoparticles. Varied emission wavelengths are available which are obtained by changing the size of the nanoparticle or changing their chemical composition. The emission wavelength range has been extended to 4 micrometer using lead selenide particles. The first report about luminescent property of nanoparticles appeared in 1980s, and the quantum yield at that time were very low. The nanoparticles developed were unstable chemically and photochemically and had a heterogeneous size distribution. After many advances in the development of nanoparticles, synthesis of homogeneous and stable nanoparticles could be achieved. The coating of a material which has different band gap than the nanomaterial, for example, cadmium selenide core, a material which has different band gap than this, coating of that improves the chemical stability. For example, zinc sulfide, which has a high band gap, it can be coated over and has been coated over cadmium selenide, and it has resulted in increase in the chemical stability. So zinc sulfide has a higher band gap than cadmium selenide, which means the long wavelength absorption of zinc sulfide is at shorter wavelength than the cadmium selenide. By band gap, we mean the energy of the longest wavelength absorption of the semiconductor. This shows you the coating of zinc sulfide on the core cadmium selenide and a covering of a polymer which makes it biologically compatible. In figure, you can see a cadmium selenide at the center, followed by zinc sulfide, followed by a polymer coating, and to this polymer coating you can see has a bioaffinity molecules. To use the nanoparticles in biological systems, they are required to be water soluble because the body has aqueous phase all around the cells. So nanoparticles are made water soluble by use of polymers or silica layer, which also is used to attach proteins or nucleic acids to nanoparticles. Various methods have been used to make nanoparticles biocompatible and to introduce binding specificity. That means if you select a material which coats the nanoparticle, can have a specific binding to a biomolecule. The surface can be coated with sulfhydryl group using molecules like mercaptoacetic acid or dihydrolipolic acid, followed by cross-linking to the amino acid on the biomolecule. Nanoparticles have also been coated with silica, for which the surface chemistry is well known. Hydrophobic or electrostatic interaction can also be used to bind the biomolecules to surface of nanoparticles. This figure represents the methods that is used to attach biomolecules to nanoparticles. You can see by using hydrophobic attractions or by selenization, you can attach biomolecules to the nanoparticle. By using hydrophobic attraction, peptide protein attraction can be used to attract the proteins on the surface of the nanoparticles. We can have also nanobeads which attracts by making amide bonds with the biomolecules. A selenization, that means selenization of the biomolecules, can be used by nanoparticles which have selenium on the surface. Spectral properties of nanoparticles are Q dots. These Q dots display several interesting spectral features. The homogeneously sized Q dots produce an emission spectra that are about twofold more narrow than typical fluorophores. That means their intensity is better than the fluorophores which typically are used. This feature can be seen in figure 4, which shows a comparison of the emission spectra of cyanine dye alone and with Q dots. Additionally, the long wavelength tail common to all fluorophores is not displayed by the Q dots. Again, this is an important characteristic which helps in identifying the spectral line of interest. This gives them advantage of using in multiple fluorophores as these tails interfere with the use of multiple fluorophores for imaging of multi-analyte measurement. Here we can see the difference between the absorption or emission pattern of the conventional fluorophores and Q dots. In first quadrant, the left upper quadrant, we can see the emission and absorption spectra of cyanine 3 oligo and Cy5 oligo, whereas with DNA Q dots, you can see the different intensity, and same when DNA is with Q dots, you can see a very peculiar narrow bound spectrum line. An important spectral property of Q dot is that they absorb at a wavelength shorter than the onset of the absorption. This spectral property also allows use of single light source for excitation of a range of nanoparticles in multiplex assay. The wide absorption spectra also allows excitation with a spectrally wide light source. That means you can use any light source virtually to get your compound excited. The Q dots have large excitation coefficient, which can be up to 10-fold larger than rhodamine on molecular basis. A small Q dot have E value or excitation value roughly 2 million per mole per centimeter. Large Q dots have excitation values as large as 2 into 106 per mole per centimeter. They also are highly photostable, making them useful probes for fluorescence microscopy. The labeling of cells with Q dots means nanoparticles. Because of relatively large size of nanoparticles or quantum dots and toxicity of cadmium, their use for cell labeling was questioned. Because we discussed about the nanoparticles made of cadmium selenide, which are very useful as a fluorescent probes, but their use in biological system is questioned because of the toxicity of the cadmium. The Q dots can be cytotoxic under some conditions, but it seems that core shell particles are non-toxic. So quantum dots are found non-toxic when used with covering of mixture of N-propyl ethylene glycol phosphatidyl ethanolamine, that is PEG-PE, and phosphatidyl choline PC in Xenopus embryos, as they did not affect the development of Xenopus embryos when injected in it. These Q dots can be used for specific labeling of fixed and live cells. In some breast cancer cells, HER2, a cancer marker is overexpressed on the surface. Fixed cells were incubated with monoclonal antibodies against the external domain of the HER2. Q dots emitting at 535 or 630 were conjugated to anti-IgI antibodies, and these proteins coated antibodies bound specifically to the HER2 markers. Another class of inorganic fluorophores includes lanthanides. Europium and terbium, the two lanthanides, are unique fluorescent probes and they have been very widely used. These lanthanides have unique features that they display line spectra from the individual atoms. The emission arises from transition between the f orbitals with a lifetime on the millisecond timescale. The transitions in lanthanides are formally forbidden, therefore the emission rates are low. These lanthanides do not displace polarity-dependent spectral shifts because the inertial f orbital electrons are shielded from the environment. They are also not quenched by the oxygen. The use of lanthanide in biochemistry originated with their use as luminescent substitute for calcium. The decay time of the lanthanide depends on the number of the coordinate water molecules, and the number of bound water molecules is given by equation N is equal to Q1 upon tau water minus 1 upon tau deteriorated water, where the lifetime are measured in water and deteriorated water. The value of Q are 1.05 and 4.2 for uranium and terbium respectively. In place of calcium, the lanthanides can bind to proteins and their lifetime can be used to determine the hydration of the protein-bound ions. The lanthanide decay time can also be affected by RET. Lanthanides serve as donors because of their high quantum yield and low excitation coefficient than acceptors. At present, most applications of lanthanide are based on their use as RET donors. The lanthanides are also excited directly. Instead, they are bound to chelators that contain a fluorophore. That means the protein contains a fluorophore as well as a lanthanide, and due to which there are changes in the fluorescent properties of the fluorophore. The energy from the fluorophore is transferred to lanthanide and used to excite the lanthanide. The chelator is used for two other reasons also. To increase the quantum yield of the lanthanide by displacing the bound water molecules that act as quenchers. Because we know the proteins are in aqueous medium and there are a number of water molecules which are bound to protein, and they actually quench the fluorescence of the fluorophores. So they also displace these water molecules and therefore prevent the quenching of the fluorophores. Chelators also help binding of lanthanides to biomolecules using standard coupling chemistry. A large number of chelators have been described. This figure shows you the various types of chelators which have been described or used in conjugation for lanthanides. For example, DTPA CS124R has been used, where R can be various types of groups. Pyridyl dithio group, a thiol reactive group, it can be a maleimide, which is an amine reactive group, an isothiocyanate group. You can use different groups and have different type of binding to the biomolecules. The spectra shows the emission spectra and intensity decay of terbium and europium when complexed with DTPA CS124. These emission spectra does not show any component from the carbosterol 124, which is part of the chelator. The figure on the left hand side shows emission spectra and intensity decay of terbium and europium, which is complexed with DTPA CS124, and the right hand side shows emission from the terbium in D4 to Fj and for europium in D0 to Fj. You can see different signals which are very sharp and with the good excitation values. On the right hand side, the red one shows you the terbium and the green and yellow shows you the europium. Lanthanide sensors. The lanthanides have shielded f orbitals, because of which they are insensitive to their local environment, because the electrons are not exposed to the local environment. Therefore, the change in pH does not affect these lanthanides. Therefore, they cannot be used to develop analyte sensitive probes, for which those available for calcium and other ions. Despite of this difficulty, lanthanide based sensors have been developed. The principle on which design of lanthanide probe involves the dependence on change in hydration or change in rate from the chelator. The lanthanide chelator shown in next figure or next slide shows an increased intensity at higher pH values. That means they respond in indirect way to the change in the pH of the solution. This increase in intensity is due to removal of bound water molecules that is displaced by the sulfonamide at high pH. So you can see a sensitivity of lanthanide based pH sensors. With increase in the pH, the intensity increases up to certain point, up to certain pH, and after that it is stagnant. This figure 8 shows excitation spectra of cyclodextrin terbium complex. It is observed that with increase in concentration of naphthalene, increase in emission intensity is seen. The increased emission intensity of terbium at 544 nanometer is due to energy transfer from naphthalene as it binds in the cyclodextrin cavity. You can see in figure the wavelength on x-axis with the intensity on the y-axis. The long lifetime and large Stokes shift of the lanthanides makes them useful in high sensitivity assays. The sensitivity can be increased using nanoparticles that contain a large number of lanthanide chelates. These nanoparticles are just becoming available and the composition are likely to evolve. Some of the particles are polystyrene and contain the lanthanide and a hydrophobic chelator. Other preparations are based on silica coated particle of the chelated lanthanide. In both cases, the surface are derivatized to contain reactive groups for binding to biomolecules. Here we can see the terbium nanoparticle, which is derivatized at the surface with selenium to make it attach with the biomolecules. The lanthanum containing nanoparticles, the particles are about 42 nanomole in diameter. We can also see terbium nanoparticle with amino groups, again for interaction with the biomolecules. Long lifetime metal ligand complexes. The lanthanides have very long decay time, that is milliseconds, compared to other organic fluorophores which have very short comparatively, that is 1 to 20 nanoseconds. These time scales are important in study of biophysical processes because the various processes in biological systems are very fast. That is, the biological dynamic processes, they are really very fast. Therefore, millisecond, which is very long time in terms of the fluorescence of lanthanides, is too long to be useful to study those processes. However, there are numerous instances where immediate decay time are desirable and number of probes are also available. For instance, if one may wish to measure rotational motion of large proteins or membrane-bound proteins, where the overall rotation correlation time can be near 200 nanoseconds or up to 1 microsecond for large micromolecular assemblies. In such types of studies, a family of metal ligand probes that display decay time ranging from 100 nanosecond to 1 or 10 microseconds has been developed and used. This long lifetime of these metal ligand probes is useful for gated detection and also for suppression of interfering autofluorescence from biological samples. This helps in increasing the sensitivity of the system. ML probes are highly chemical and photochemical stable. That means they have high chemical and photochemical stability. They have reasonable solubility in water, which makes them good for use in biological systems. So due to these favorable properties, ML probes can have numerous applications in biophysical chemistry, clinical chemistry, and DNA diagnostics. Metal ligand probes. Transition metals complexed with one or more diimine ligands are referred to as metal ligand complexes or commonly as MLCs. One of the example of this class of probe is ruthenium bipyrimidine, where BPY is 2,2-bipyridine, the structure of which is shown in next slide. This class of compounds was originally developed for their use in solar energy conversion but has become widely used as model compounds to study excited state charge transfer. Here you can see the chemical structure of ruthenium bipyridine and ruthenium bipyridine ion. The later one, which is on the right side, we can see with 2 carboxylic groups, is conjunctible and displays strong polarized emission. Upon absorption of light, the rubidium bipyridine complex becomes a metal to ligand charge transfer species, in which one of the BPY ligand is reduced and ruthenium is oxidized. The appropriate combination of metal and ligand results in a new transition involving charge transfer between the metal and the ligand. For example, described here, the electrons are promoted from the metal to the ligand, the so-called metal to ligand charge transfer transition. Here we can see the electrons in the lower level of the metal gets excited and absorbs energy to the next level of the ligand. The figure 11 shows metal to ligand charge transfer transition in ruthenium bipyridine cation. The absorbance near 450 nanometer by ruthenium MLCs is due to the MLC transition. Emission from these states is formally phosphorescence. However, these states are shorter lived microseconds than normal phosphorescent states and thus can emit prior to quenching. The luminescence of MLCs is thought to be short lived due to spin orbital coupling with the heavy metal atoms, which increases the allowedness of the normally forbidden transitions to the ground state. Criteria for MLCs to be luminescent. For any MLC, that is metal ligand complex, to be luminescent, they must fulfill certain criteria. First, the crystal field must be strong enough to raise the DD state above the MLCT state. The ruthenium LL3 state is luminescent because the DD state are above the MLCT state and do not serve as major route of radiationless decay. In osmium has still higher DD energies, and as a result the DD levels are not accessible, which gives them high photostability. The relative levels of MLCT and DD states determine the sensitivity of the MLC decay time to temperature. If the DD levels are close to the MLCT level, then the DD state are thermally accessible. In such cases, increasing temperature results in decreased lifetime due to thermal population of the DD states followed by rapid radiationless decay. Now coming to summarizing what we have learned in the module. In this module, we discussed about the fluorophores other than organic nature and discussed in detail along with their spectral properties. Different kinds of substances available used as fluorophores like semiconductor nanoparticles, lanthanides, etc. We also discussed in the module about the spectral properties of nanoparticles or Q dots, labeling of cells with Q dots, about lanthanide sensors, lanthanide nanoparticles, and the use of long lifetime metal ligand complexes. The metal ligand probes and the criteria for them to show luminescence were also discussed. Thank you.